What's up everyone, I am Andrew and in this tutorial we are going to create a complete movie website. We have the list of the movies and we have the front page and we have the hand-picked movies, and you can just click on any movie you want. We have the information, we have the trailer, we have a button that doesn't point to anywhere but you can just add the functionality, and basically we have all this information as a custom post type. That's very cool. And we also have genres, so you can just search for genres. For example, if we just click on crime, you can see that we have John Wick, and we have the news section. This is just a simple blog, and also we have a full search here, so you can just search either here on the front page or from the header, and we also have our custom header and footer. So let's just build it together. In this section, I'm going to quickly review the plugins that we are going to use to create our MovieBox website. So basically, the only Pro plugin that we are using is this Elementor Pro. So all other plugins are free, so you can safely build this website if you have the Pro version of Elementor. So it costs around $60 per year, and it's absolutely essential for this tutorial because we are going to define our custom post type, and only in the Pro version of Elementor can we style custom post type and display them. Now, there are other page builders that have these capabilities. You can choose any page builder that you want. It doesn't matter to be Elementor, but we need to be able to style and display and create theme for our custom post types. And then, of course, we want to define our custom post type. So we are going to use this custom post type UI, which is a very good plugin for creating our own custom post type. Now, if you're not familiar with the custom post type, it's basically a custom post type. So basically, it's a new type for a post. So we have posts which are blog posts, but when you install WooCommerce, you have a new type in your WordPress website, which is a WooCommerce product. So if you open a product, this is quite similar to a post, or when you install LearnDash, it's quite similar to a post when you have a lesson. That's because they are posts, but they are a custom post. They are a different post than the normal average post that WordPress offers out of the box. So we are going to install this plugin because we want to create a new type, which will be our movies. So we want to have a new type for our movies that is going to be completely different. Now, also, we do need these advanced custom fields because when you create a new custom post type, it doesn't have a custom fields. So, for example, for a movie, we want to have the name of the movie and the director and the company behind and the star. So you can create a custom post type with CPT UI, but it doesn't allow you to have custom fields. So you only can have the featured image, the body of the text, the title, the metas or categories or something like this. But for having custom fields, you do need to have another plugin, which this advanced custom fields is the industry standard here. And these are the important plugins, the essential plugins that we are going to use now. There are other plugins, other small plugins that we use along the way. For example, to make columns clickable or maybe add effect in Elementor. They are not essential. So basically, the only essential plugins we are using this tutorial are advanced custom fields, custom post type UI, and Elementor. Now, when we have these plugins, it's time to start installing them and creating the theme. Now, I already have Elementor Pro and I can just activate it. But I'm going to also quickly install these two other plugins, Advanced Custom Fields and CPT UI or Custom Post Type UI. So basically, I just bring plugins and add new and just search for CPT UI. So this is Custom Post Type UI. I just have to install it. And we also do need to have Advanced Custom Fields. So this is the plugin we are going to use, Advanced Custom Fields. Not this one, Advanced Custom Fields Extended. We do not need it. We only need these Advanced Custom Fields. And now we are ready to activate these install plugins. So I just bring install plugins. And now I can just activate them. And our plugins are okay. Now the final thing for the setup is to install the theme. And now it's completely up to you what theme you are going to use. We are going to use Astra here, which is a very good theme with lots of optimization options, but it's really up to you which theme you are going to use. So I leave it to you. I just search for Astra here in Add New. But basically any other theme is just fine. Okay, now that we have our theme and our core plugins, it's time to start building. So when I start building a project, the first thing I do is to just customize my theme. So there are a few routines that I always do. So first of all, we are going to create a new page for our blog and one for our front page so that we can just use them. So I'm just going to add a page for my home page and I just call it home. And now we are going to use these two pages. So by default, we have our blog post on our front page, which is not what we want. So I just bring settings and reading. And then I change it to a static page. For the home page, we are going to use home. And for the post page, we are going to use blog and also save changes. Also, we are on localhost here, but if you are building your website live, you want to make sure that you have these carousel search engines from indexing this site before you finish your build process, before you build your website, and then you want to uncheck it. That's really important to uncheck it because otherwise search engines would not index your website. Now, as you can see, we have this title on our homepage, which we do not need and do not want. So basically, I just have to click on edit page and disable it by just click on disable title. Now, it used to be here, I think, in the settings, but now it's there. It's completely dependent on your theme. If you're using another theme, then there's another way to disable it, and some themes do not have it under a free version. But basically, good themes do support disabling title. And for example, Neve, you just have to bring Neve setting here and disable it. Now it's just fine. I can just update. And we have our homepage. And there are two other things we have to do. First of all, we have to change our permalinks. Now it's using these ugly permalinks that we do not need. So basically I just bring settings and permalinks and change permalink structure into post name, which I'll always do, and save changes. This is the first thing we have to do. And next we want to change our menu, because if I just bring appearance and menus, you can see that we haven't explicitly defined any menu here. So let's just define one. I'm just going to call it menu and set it as my primary menu and create it. So we have our primary menu here, and then I can just add my home and blog page. Now we will add more pages to it, but it's just fine for now. And probably want to change this blog into news because this is a movie website, and we will just do it. So let's just save the menu and we are now good to go. Now we do have our basic setup here, but there are more work that we have to do. So we have to create this header and our footer and also our pages, but we are going to postpone all of these to later sections because it's really important to create the core of our website, which is this custom post type and custom fields. This is really important. So in this section, we are going to set up our custom post type and custom fields. So let's get started. So basically, we have this CPT UI, which allows us to create a new custom post type. So basically, we are going to create a new post type, which is going to hold our movies. So whenever we want to add a new movie, it's a new instance of this post type. So we have posts here, as you can see, which are the default posts by WordPress. But if we install WooCommerce, we also get products. If we install LearnDash, we also get lessons and courses. All of these are custom post types. Now we are going to create one for ourselves. So the first field here is the post type Slack, which is the URL. So it's going to just be movie. So we have our domain name and then the slash movie and then slash the name of the movie. So that's just fine. The plural label is going to be movies. And the singular label is again going to be movie. It's going to be the same as my slug, but basically these are just what you decide. So it doesn't matter if I change any of them, it's still going to work, but we get a different slug and a different singular label and plural label, which are going to be used here in the section that we are going to add. So that's just fine. Now we also have to fill all of these fields, which can be very boring, but luckily we have these populate additional labels based on chosen labels. So that's a very cool option here. If I just click on it, you can see that it automatically creates these sentences and names for me. So we have movie scheduled, movie reverted to draft, movie published privately. It's going to just populate these options here. Now you can change any of them if you do not want them. So that's just fine for us. We are going to basically click on add post type. So now we do have our post type. We can also have a description for our post type, but it's not essential to have it. And also we have the supports here. So it's the features that our post type supports. So it has a title, it has an editor, it has a featured image. Now we are going to add our custom post type, but it has these basic features. We can have excerpt, but we do not need it here. It's going to have custom fields, so that's just fine. But I think we can also not check it here. It's going to just work. And also we want to have taxonomy. So we want to have categories and tags. So by default, these two are turned off. So you cannot have categories or tags, but we are going to have them here. So that's just fine. And I can just add my post type. So if I just bring edit post type, you can see that we have these movies post type. Now also we have added categories and tags, but we want to have our own taxonomy here. We will just add it later, but it's just fine for now. And if you look at here, you can see that we have a new section called My Movies. So it's just very cool. We can add new movies here. We have the name and our basic editor here, but no custom post type because we haven't added anything here. And we'll just add now. Also, we can change this icon here to something more related to movies. So I can just bring my custom post type UI and select my custom post type, and we should have the icon option somewhere here. So we can just choose the dash icon and let's just, what resembles a movie here? We have very limited options here. So let's just choose this one. So this is just good. And I can just save my post type, and now we have my movies with the new icon. That's cool. And we want to have our custom fields. So I just have to click on custom fields. And here we can just add a field group. So a field group is just a group of fields. So a group of custom fields that we can just use on a custom post type. So for movies, we want to have a movie group that we are going to use on the movie custom post type. So it's not really anything strange. For example, when you have a WooCommerce product, you have a bunch of fields, for example, your price or your SKU or anything like this. Now you can also have them here. So you create a new group, which is holding your individual fields, and then you assign the group instead of assigning the individual fields, which is just an easier way. So we can just add a new field group. I'm just going to call it movies or simply movie. And we are going to add our information here. Now I have just added a few sample movies to a folder. So let's just bring this movie box folder and movies. And we have this movies.txt. So as you can see, we want to have these options here. We want to have the name, we want to have the release, the director, the genre, the stars, country, distributed by, and runtime. So all of them are going to be custom fields, but for some of them, it's more meaningful to use a taxonomy. For example, for stars, we can have a custom field and just put all of the stars there, but you can also create a new taxonomy, call it actors or stars, and then start adding these actors. Then you can just assign them to a movie. That way, you also get a page for example, Keanu Reeves, and then people can just click on it and it's going to display all of the movies which have the taxonomy Keanu Reeves, and that's very cool. So for the stars, we are going to take this way, and probably also for the director. So for the stars and directors and also genres, we are going to use custom taxonomies. But for example, for countries, it's just fine. So it's really a matter of choice because for countries, we can also create a custom taxonomy, call it countries, and then assign it. And then people can just filter based on the country or visit the country page. I think this is a better path to take. for also for countries, but for distributed by, it's just fine to have a custom fields. And definitely for the runtime, you're not going to add a category, because when you add a category, you are going to have, for example, Keanu Reeves as one category or as one taxonomy, but for runtime, then it just doesn't make sense. So for runtime and for name and for release date, we are going to use custom fields, but for the other ones, we are going to use custom taxonomies. So let's just get started. Just put it in my second display here that I can just see, and I can just close this, and we are going to start adding the fields. So the first field is our movie name. So I'm going to just select a text field here. We have a bunch of fields here, and also the label is just going to be title. Let's just capitalize the first letter here. And for the field name is also going to be title. It's just fine. And default value, we do not need to have a default value here. So we have it. We have our field. Now I'm just going to add another field here. So we have the title. Now we want to have the release date. So for the release, we can just have a date field here. So the date picker or date time picker. So date picker is just fine here. And we want to have the field labels just going to be release. It's just going to be release date. And for the field name, it's going to be the same name, but with the underline, because we cannot have the spaces here. It's somehow like an ID or identifier, so you cannot have the spaces here. Then we have the display format. I'm just going to choose this one. This is just okay. And the return format is also very important. So it's the actual thing you get in your Elementor page builder or any kind of page builder. So we want to use this format here. And we have the week starts on. Just add it based on your country here. And it's just okay now. The next field we are going to use is runtime. Now we can search to see which is good for a runtime, but I'm just going to use basic text. So it's just fine for us. So I'm just going to select basic text and just call it runtime. And we have the field name and the default value. We do not need it here. And finally, we have the company. So the company that is distributing the movie, just text is good. Now you can use a taxonomy here, but I'm just going to use a basic text field. And let's just add it called company. Or we can just call it distributed by. It's just a matter of choice. But company is just fine because you do not need to use these field labels. In Elementor, you can just, or any other page builder, you can just have your own label and then display the value. So it doesn't really matter here what you choose, and you can just change them anytime you want. So that's pretty good. Now we have these fields. I'm just going to click on Save Changes. So we have our field group. We have a title, a release date, a runtime, and the company. So that's fine. We also want to add our custom taxonomies here. So I can just bring CPT UI because we have to do it from the CPT UI, not from custom fields. And we can just bring add or edit taxonomies. And the first taxonomy we are going to use is actor. So let's just call it actor. And we have the plural label, which is going to be actors. And singular label, which is going to be actor. So fine. And here is very important. It asks which kind of post type you want to attach this custom taxonomy to. We are going to attach it to only movies. We are not going to use these taxonomies on our post, only movies. So that's fine. We can just click on add taxonomy. Now we do have it here, and you can just leave these options as they are. It's just fine. Now we also need two more taxonomies, so one for the director. Let's just grab it and just copy and paste it. So we have directors, and director is going to be attached to movies. Let's just add it. So we now have two taxonomies. And we also need one for the country, so let's just add another. So it's fine. Again, we want to assign it to movies and just add the taxonomy. So we now have 3 taxonomies and 4 custom fields. So that's cool. Now we are ready to add some movies here in the next section. Now we are ready to add our first movie. So we can just click on Add New. And as you can see, we have this familiar editor here. We can set the movie name. We can have the body of the text, which in this case we are going to use as a description of the movie. But you can basically place anything here, such as an image or anything, any kind of shortcode or block, and it will be displayed in the front end. And we also have our custom taxonomy. So we have actors. We can just simply add actors here. We have directors, we have countries, so that's very cool here. But as you can see, we do not have our custom fields. So the reason is that we haven't assigned them yet. So if I just bring my admin panel and custom fields and this movie field group, you can see that it's by default assigned to a post, which just here means the default WordPress post. So we have them in WordPress post, but not movies. So we can just change it into movie. So we are going to assign it to movies. That's what we have to do here. And we can just save changes. And now if I refresh my page here, you can see that we do have our information. So we have our title, our release date, our runtime, and our company. So let's start adding the first movie here. Of course, I'm just going to add John Wick 4. No question here. So let's just add it. John Wick Chapter 4. And we want to have the body of the movie, so it's going to be the description, but basically we can also have other data here, such as images. And then we have the actors, so let's just add our actors here. And as you can see, we can separate them with commas, or we can just press enter after adding one. Let's just do it with commas, so it automatically adds the actors here. Very cool. We can just add our director. We can add the country. So that's cool. We have them. Then we want to have the title. Now you might ask, why do we have separate title here and a different title here? That's because potentially you can have movies that have the same name. There are movies, various movies that have the same name in different. So in this case, you probably want to keep this title different, maybe add a year, anything here, because we are not going to display it in the front end, but rather we are going to use this title. So this is thus the decision I have made. You can just go in different ways. You might have only this title and use it as your main title, but I'm just going to keep it for ourselves, keep this title for ourselves, and just add the title manually here. So again, we are going to just add John Wick Chapter 4 as the title, and then we want to add the release date. So it's March 24th, 2023. Like this. Then we have the runtime now. It's 2 hours and 27 minutes. So we can just, I can just copy it from here and just paste it. And we have the distributing company. And also we can just add the featured image. And there are 2 other things that we forgot to add to these movies, because basically we want to have a trailer and maybe a poster. Now we can set the poster as the featured image, but we can also have it as a new field, as a field that accepts files. So let's just do it here. So I had to do it in the beginning, but I forgot. Now here we are just going to add our 2 fields quickly to this movie field group. So I'm just going to click on edit, and basically we want to add a new field, not a field group. So we have our field group, so we just click on add a new field. And the first field is just going to hold our trailer. So I'm just going to select file and just call it trailer. And we want to return a file URL because this way we can just easily give it to Elementor as the URL of the video player and just play it. So that's very nice. So we have it. I can just add another field here for our poster. So I'm just going to select image here. And for the field label, I'm just going to call poster. And again, return the image URL because then we can just simply use it any way we want in Elementor. So that's cool. And I can now save changes. And now if I save this movie, so I think it's saved, but we can just refresh to get the new field here. You can see that we have two more fields here, one for the trailer. I can just upload my trailer here, very cool. So we have it here, John Wick 4, and we have the trailer. I can just upload it and select it. And also we can just add the poster. Now it's just fine, and we can just update it. And if I click on preview, you can see that it's just going to display the title and the text. So because we haven't defined anything, any template to display, that's why we do need the pro version of Elementor, because by default WordPress is only going to render your title and your featured image and your text as it loads your blog post. But we are going to create a custom template to display our movies, and we are just going to do it in the next section. But basically we have our movie here. Now I'm just going to quickly add my other movies so that we can have some movies to work with, and then we can just create a front end that display the movies and also various things related to movies, for example the archive page or the search page. Now as you can see, we have all of our movies and their information, but there is one thing missing. So we forgot to add genres to them, and the good thing is that we can easily add anything later, or alter anything later. So we can just quickly bring custom fields and our movie group. So I basically have to add a new field here. So now we have our movies and their information, but there is one thing missing. So we didn't add genres to them. We have director, actors, and countries, but we also want to have genres as a custom taxonomy, but that's very easy to do. So the good thing is that we can easily add anything in any time. So we can just add information later as you go on. So I quickly have to bring CPT UI and registered and add and edit taxonomies. And here we can see that we have 3 taxonomies here, actor, director, and countries. We want to quickly add genres. And we want to have the plural form, and also the singular form is going to be attached to movies, and everything other than that is just fine. So we can just add the taxonomies. And now if I just bring my movies, you can see that we have this new taxonomy field. You can see that we have this new genres field, and we can just add our genres very quickly. So now that we have our movies and their information, it's time to start building the front end and display them. So basically we want to display these movies as a single item. So we want to have a single template for them, but we also want to have archive pages for the search and also for various taxonomies that we have. So it's a lot of work. But before that, I want to create the header and footer and also the background color, because I want to create a dark theme here. So it's something more suitable for a movie website, in my opinion. And we want to just create the background and set some colors in the next section so that we have our logo, we have our header, we have our footer and background, and then we can just start displaying the items in the front end. Now, if you're using another theme, the process would be different for you. Also, I'm just going to use Elementor Pro to create a custom header. This is again optional because I want to place a search bar right in my header. All of them are optional, so you can just go another direction, use another theme that maybe has its own search bar, and then just continue to the next section, which we create the front end for the movies. But first we want to just style our website. So let's start with the general theme of our website. So I want to change the colors into a dark website. So I just have to click on customize. And here in this theme is available in global. Again, it's different for each theme. So I just click on global and colors. And here we have the accent color. I'm just going to set it into a gray color. And I can just copy this hex value here and just use it for my links. And here's the normal, here is the click, so I'm just going to paste it here. But for the click, we want to just make it a little darker, like this. And here we have the headings and the body text. Of course, because we want to change it into a dark website, we want to have a completely white body text and also headings. And for the site background, we want to set it into a completely black and also the content background, so something like this. Now, as you can see here, because I changed the accent, we have these gray icons that we want them to be completely black. Now, we will create our header, so this is not the primary concern here. So this is good for now. We will, of course, replace this header with a custom header, so don't worry about the header and footer. This is just fine. Also, we want to bring containers. And here we have box. We want to change it into full with contain. So we get this. Now you're not getting any different here because we do not have any content, but basically it's going to just make it a full width website. So this is better. We also can change the container. We will change them later because we do not have any content to just see what we can get. Now I'm just going to create my header. So I'm just going to bring templates and theme builder and header, and we want to start from scratch. So basically we want to have a search bar here, our menu, and also our site logo. So I have to just create a free column section here, and then I can just put the item there. So I just put my site logo on the left. We haven't specified a logo, but we will. And I want to put my nav menu here on the center. And finally, we want to put a search bar. Now this header is looking very ugly, and the reason is that we have this very big placeholder, but we can just fix it. So I have to first publish it. We want to add the condition, and we want to display it on our entire website, and save and close. And now I can just copy a new tab here, just bring my front page, and we can just set our logo here so that it just removes this placeholder. So I can just click on it. So I can just bring header builder and site title and logo, and we can just select that logo. So now it's better now, still not fine, so we have to just customize it in the Elementor. So I can just save it here and refresh Elementor. And now we have a logo, but of course it's very big, so I just have to change it. So we have this width here, and we can just change it. We can set percent or pixel. Let's just play with pixels. I think it's just fine, but you can just play with percent also, or viewport width. You know this stuff, and we have it here. We can also set max width and a percent. This is also cool. So we can, for example, set the max width into 400 pixel, and then we can just use percent with the max width. So this is also a good way, better for responsive design. And we have our search bar here. Let's just change this item to there. And I want to center align my items here. Now, if you want to just learn more about creating headers in Elementor, we have a full tutorial dedicated into building headers. So I'm just going to go a little fast here, but you can just watch that tutorial out. And now we have the style, so that's fine. And also, if you want to change this green color here, so in the hover, we want to change it from green into maybe a gray color. And also the pointer, we can also use this nice color that we have here. This is also a good volunteer for these, but this is just fine. So we have it here. I also want to change it from classic into minimal. So that's nice. I want to make my menu a little bigger, so we can just change the font size, set it into EM, and just make it a little bigger, like this. And also we want to give it a background color, so I can select my whole section. And it's set to box. We can just change it into full width. Now it's better, but we also have to give it some padding. So I just set it into EM, and then give it some left and right padding. So maybe 4 for right and 4 for left. This is just fine. And also we want to set the background color, so we can just bring it here and classic and solid. Now we want to make it a little lighter. Something like this I think is good. I'm just also going to copy this color code and paste it here on my second display on a note, so that we can just use it if we want it later. That's cool. Also, we want to grab this color here, so let's just grab it. If I just bring the eyedropper, I can just click here and you can see that we have our colors. This is the color we want to use, so I can just grab it and just paste it there. I'm just going to, so I can just copy it and paste it there. This is our red color, and we also have our gray color, and I can just now put the gray back there, and everything is just good to go. We can also make them this red color. I think it's going to make it much more beautiful, so we can just bring our nav menu style and a hover, and for the pointer we are just going to set it into my red color. And also text color, we can change it as well. So it's very nice, I think. I like it. Okay, now this is fine, and we are just going to visit our website to see what we have here. So I'm going to refresh, and now we have our header. Very nice. Now also this is a little too large, and also this text is not visible here, so let's just fix them quickly. First of all, I want to make it smaller. And also we have the size here, so we can just make it a little smaller, but it's going to go up, but then we have to give it some margin or some padding. So let's just give it some margin here, like this. This is too big. 0.5. I want to have 0.5. Like this. I think this is okay. And we want to change the text color into black, and also we can just change this button to our red color. Like this. This is now nicer. I can just update and refresh. Now we have it. Also, this font size is too big, so let's just change it quickly. I just bring my nav menu and then typography. Want to make it smaller. I think something like this, or maybe a little bigger. Now this is cool, so I think we are just good to go. Now, as you can see, when I click on them, it just becomes smaller, and this is not what we want. That's because this normal is not overriding this active, so we have 1.2 here for the normal. We want to just set it to 1.2 here as well. And this is just fine. I'm also going to create a custom footer here very quickly, so I can just bring my admin panel and Elementor, template and theme builder. Now we want to add a footer. So let's just have a 2-column footer for now. And I can just also add my site title here. And just make it white. So this is just fine for now. We will change our footer in later. We can just decide what we want to put here, but for now it's just fine. I just want to change the background color, so I just bring a style and classic. And we want to basically use our gray. And we add the condition and set it to entire website, save. And now we should be good to go. So now this is a very basic footer and we probably want to change it later, but we are just going to focus on building the actual content and displaying it. We will just change this later. Now we are ready to create our templates in the next section. Okay, let's start building the required templates. So if I just bring my movies and open one of them, you can see that we have a dedicated URL based on the name of the post type. So we have a movie slash and the name of the movie. Now it's movie, you can have movies, it really depends on you, but we have a URL. But if I just click on it and open it in a new tab, you can see that we only have the title and the information about the movie. That's because it's using the default layout that it's using for your blog post. So based on your theme, you might get a different result here. Here, for example, I have previous movie and next movie, but it's the default structure that WordPress has, the default template that WordPress has for your blog post. We are going to create a new template and assign it to the movie type so that we can just display movies in whatever shape we want. So basically, we have to bring Elementor and templates and theme builder. Now we want to create a new template for a single post. Now, a single post can be of any type. So a single post can be for your WooCommerce products, or in this case, our movies. So I just add a new template for single post. And of course, we want to start from scratch. Now, first, we want to have a section here on the top that displays our poster and also the title of the movie. And then we want to have 2 columns below it. On the right, we want to have a video player that displays a trailer of the movie, and on the left we want to have the information of the movie in a box. So we start from the poster. So basically we want to create a new full width section here, so I just have to change it into full width. And we want to display the title and the image here, so I can just grab my title. Now we do not want to use this post title because, as I said, we want to just have our custom field here, which is the movie title custom field. So for that, we just have to add a heading here. And now the important step here is that we have to use these dynamic tags, because I cannot import the title here. Because I cannot input the title here, it's going to be different for every movie. So the only way we can just achieve it is just use these dynamic tags. Now these dynamic tags are very powerful. They allow you to not only grab post date, excerpt, ID, or terms which are your taxonomies, but also it works with advanced custom fields. So in this case, we are going to select advanced custom field, and then whenever you select advanced custom field, you have this little wrench icon that you can just click on and specify the key, because we have to tell Elementor which key we are going to use. And we are just going to here select title. Now, as you can see, it's not showing anything here, and that's fine because by default, Elementor is just using your hello world post. So if I just, as an example, put a post title here, you can see that it's going to display hello world. This is not what we want. We want to be able to preview one of our movies, and it's very easy to fix. So we can just click on settings here and preview settings. First of all, we have to select movie. So we just select movie, and then we can just select one of our movies that for a sample we can just work with it. So I'm just going to select John Wick here, John Wick chapter 4. So now if I apply and preview, you can see that it's loading all the information from the John Wick movie. So that's cool. Now, of course, we are going to remove this post title. It's exactly the same as my title field, but we are just going to use our custom title field here. It's just a matter of choice. Now we have our heading, which is displaying my title. I'm just going to center it and give it a white background. So we have our heading. I'm just going to make it a little larger using EM. Now we want to display our poster as the image behind this text. So I have to select my whole section. Then I can just bring a style and background and classic. Now again, we cannot select an image here because it should be dynamic and different for each movie, but we can just use these dynamic tags, which are awesome. So I just select it. And here, as you can see, we have advanced custom field image field. So that's what we want. We want to display an image. So I just click on it. And then we just click on this wrench icon, and we have to specify the key, which is the poster here. Now we have the image, and now we can just style it. So first of all, we want to change the height. We want to set it to min height, which is going to give it a minimum height. Now we are going to use VH here, which stands for viewport height. So something like 35, I think is just okay. So 35% of your viewport height is just good here. And then, of course, we want to center our image. So I just have to bring a style. And here, select position center center. And for the size, we are going to set cover. So we have this nice image here. And now we are able to create our columns. Now you might say, okay, we do not have the John Wick's head. It's because I cannot change it from here. For example, set it to bottom right, because it should work for all images. So the best option really is center center. And then cover, because if we set contain, it's going to repeat it. If we do not repeat it, we get black space here. And really, our best option is to set cover and center center. Now, you can change your images so that they look awesome here. But it's going to be used for all images, so I cannot change this setting based on this particular image. It's important. Now, we can just have our two columns. So I just add a new section here, make it full width. And we have two columns here. Now on the left, I'm just going to display the information for the movie. And on the right, we are just going to display the trailer. So let's just start with the trailer. I just search for video and put it on the right. Now we have the video. We just have to give the link to the Elementor. We just click on this dynamic tag. And then, as you can guess, we have to select advanced custom field URL field because we are returning the URL. So if you remember in the return option, we selected return the URL of the video. So we can just use advanced custom field URL field. And then we just click on this wrench icon and then the key, and then we are going to return this trailer. So we do get our trailer. It's not going to play it here, but just fine, we will test it. Now on the left, we are going to display our information. So basically, we want to repeat the title here and some more information. So I can just copy this heading here and make a copy of it and just put it here under my column. Like this, we have the name, and it's of course very big, so we just have to make it much smaller. So let's just do it. So here we have the title. I also want to give it a background color, and we can select the whole column and then a style and background. We are going to select classic, and I just want to give it a very dark gray, but different from our black background here, something like this. I think it's just fine. Also, we want to give it some padding here. So I select EM, give it some, just 1 EM, I think is just good. So we have the title here, and then we want to display various information about the movie. Now there are two types of information, our custom fields and our custom taxonomies, because our custom taxonomies should also be shown here. So we have the director name, we have the country, we have our actors. So these are the information that we have to display here as a custom taxonomy. But for example, we also have runtime. So if I just add a new title here and add a new heading, I can just duplicate this one. And here select advanced custom field. You can see that we have the release date, so we can just use it. We have the runtime. We have the company, but we do not have our custom taxonomies here. So I cannot have or display the custom taxonomies using this advanced custom field. Now, if I just remove it and bring dynamic tags, you can see that we have the information to our post, we have archive information, site information, media information, author information, and advanced custom field. So there is no custom taxonomy here. So how can we display them? Then Elementor has this post info widget. I can just add it here, and we can just select our taxonomies. Now I'm just going to remove all of them here. So basically, I can remove this one. I have to replace it. Now you just add a new one here, new item here, and then you set the type into terms. So terms is just what you want to use for your custom taxonomies. So you select term and then choose the taxonomy. So for example, for the actors, we can just select it. And as you can see, we have our actors or stars here. So I'm just going to remove this author. We have the actors, and also we can just get rid of this icon, and we can just use them to display our actors. So this is just fine. So let's just start with the field, and then we move to custom taxonomy. So let's first add the fields. So I just select advanced custom field and the wrench icon and the key. And here we have the title. Of course, we selected the title. We have to select release date. So one for the release date. I can just duplicate it, and another one for the runtime and duplicate it again, and another time for the company. So we have them now. We have to create the labels here. So here, if I just select the second one, we have the date, but we do not have any label here. We just have to create it. So I can just click on this arrange and advance, and here we have this before. So we can just type here release date and then colon. So this is going to be before the element, and that's cool. So we can just use them here. So we have the release date. For the title, it's just fine. We do not want it. But again, for the runtime, we want to have it here as advanced and before. and then colon. So we have the runtime and the company. We can just do the same. Like this. Now this is very good. Now we also want to display our taxonomies here. So we have our stars here, so we can just style it first. So let's just bring text and make it white. I also do not like this icon here. Now the good thing is that these are clickable. We will talk about it, but basically people can click on these stars and it will just show it them. So that's very cool. So now let's just remove this icon. I can just set the size into 0. It should be a remove option, but it's not. So we have the stars. Now we also want to have the labels for the stars, and we can just put the label above it, but we can also bring this content, and here we can just add item, and it can be a custom item here. So we can, for example, instead of date, we can just have custom, and then I can just type stars and just bring it above it. So like this. Now this is one option, not very satisfying because there is this big space here, but it just works. So we can just have it like this. Really, this is the matter of taste. You can have a single element here and then have it, or we can just have it like this, but I think this is just fine when I have the default style, not the inline style. So for the custom, I can just capitalize this S. Now you can also select icon. We are not going to select it. So we have a stars and the name of the stars. Now we also want to display the director. So I can just change this term into director, and also this custom into director. Like this, and I can just duplicate it again. Now we want to change these terms into countries, so I can just have country here and also capitalize it and duplicate it again. And genres, that's very important. So I can just type genres here as the custom label. Like this. So we have a star, director, country, and genres. Let's just capitalize this director. That's cool. We can also move these genres above. It's more important here. So we have genres, stars, and director, and country. Very cool. Now these are also very large, so we want to style them. So I can just do it very quickly. Also, as you can see, it's using H2 element, which is really not good. So we want to use something like a span. I think is just better for this purpose. So I'm just going to change all of them into a span. And it's also semi-bold. We want to make it normal, like this. So 1 EM and normal. And I'm just going to apply to all of them. That's cool. Now I can also align them to the left, so this is just fine. so that all of them are in line with each other. Like this is starting to look beautiful. Now we want to give it some more padding, so I can just select my whole column and increase the padding a little, something like this, and give our video more space. Also, we can also give it some margin here, like this. Let's just select EM, that's better. Something like 1 EM is just cool. And we want to give it some rounded corners. So let's just select the style and border radius and just give it a slight rounded corner like this. This is very nice. And now we are video, so let's just see it. Let's just publish it. Now it's going to ask me where do I want to display. Now it's going to ask me where do you want to display your template. It's very important. We are only going to use this template for our movies. So I just select movies and save and close. Now if I refresh this page, you can see that we have the image, we have the text, and we have this information. It's very cool. It's automatically working for each movie. Now, as you can see, the video is not loading, so we have a problem here, but we have to fix it. So let's just take a look at other movies to see if the problem persists. So here, if I just visit the URL, you can see that the video is not working, but the other information are. And as you can see, we can bring actors. So it's showing all the movies from this actor. That's very cool. And you get it with really no coding, no setup. That's awesome. So if I just bring it back, we should see why we are not getting the video. So we have the video here. And in the content, we have the link. And it's an advanced custom field URL field. But the source is set to YouTube, and that's the problem here. So we have to change it into self-hosted, and then we have to put the advanced custom field here. So my problem here, my mistake. So if I just select trailer here, now we get the trailer. So if I just update it, we also get it here for each movie, and that's really awesome. Now in the next section, we will continue building this website. We will style this page a little better so it's nicer, and we also want to stick this column to the left so that it just stays here, and then we can just move into creating various archive pages. Now before starting to create the archive pages, we want to quickly style this page. So let's just see what we can do now. I want to, as I said, make these columns sticky and maybe just bring them a little higher here. So let's just edit it with Elementor. Now, if I hover over edit with Elementor, you can see that there are various things that we can edit. We can edit the header, we can edit the footer, but in this case, we are going to edit this single post template. So let's just select it. So first of all, I want to make this section sticky. So if I just select my column, we can see that in the advanced and motion effect, we do not have any sticky effect. That's because we cannot make columns sticky. We can create an intersection sticky, but that's very easy to do. So we can just add an intersection here. We can just add it right here. We can just add it right here. And of course, in our intersection, we want to have only one column. And now I can just move all of my headings into this intersection column. So now we have this intersection, and all of these fields are within this intersection. And that's very cool. Now also we want to apply this background to this intersection because this is the actual moving part. So what we can do is to just remove the styles from this column. I can just simply click on reset the styles. We are going to lose our styles, but that's just fine. I can just select my intersection and we can just apply the same styles to the intersection. So I can just give it some padding, for example, like this, and then we can just also give it some background color. So let's just select background and classic, and we are going to give it some background color. Like this. Now we also want to give our column some margin, so let's just give it some margin like this. And we want to make our inner section have rounded corners, so I can just bring a style and border radius, set it into EM, and we want to have some rounded corners, maybe like 2 EM is just fine. Now we can make the intersection sticky, so we can just bring advanced and motion effects and sticky to the top. So now it's going to stick here. Now we do not have any room for scrolling, but if we just put our content here, which we are going to do, so basically we want to put the post content right below it like this, and let's just make it white. Now it's not still lots of room for scrolling, but let's just give you some examples. So if I just select this post type, so if I just select this post content and give it some padding as an example, so let's just give it some only top padding like this, so we have some room to scroll. Now you might say, why I'm just doing this? Because for some of your movies, you might have lots of content. You might have some reviews here. You can just later change things. Now it's going to stick here, and this is the effect we want. We want it to stick here. So this is very important. Now I also want to make sure that it's not going to touch this above, and this is very easy to do. So I have to select my intersection and motion effects. And here we want to give it some offset. So let's just give it some offset here. Like, let's just give it 50 pixel, and it's going to just stay there, and that's very cool. So if you have lots of content, you always have this. That's very nice to have. And now we can just remove this extra padding here, so I can just reset my style and like this, but it's going to just stay here, and that's very nice. We also want to give a button here. Now this is optional, but probably you want to work with some company and have some affiliate links, for example, a link to a company that displays this movie online or rents it or sells it. So let's just have a button here. This is just for some ideas. So we can have a button here, and we can just make it watch online. Now this is going to link to a premium website like Netflix, and then you can just make some money. Now you have to put your affiliate links here. Basically, you have to, for every movie, have an affiliate link and put it there. You don't have to do it manually. You can just add a field in advanced custom field, and then just select a dynamic tag and just target the link. Now we're just not going to put anything here, but we're just going to style the button. So let's just center it like this. Now we want it to be inside the intersection like this. Now I also want to change its color, maybe into something like yellow or something like this. This is just fine. So we have this watch online button. We can also change the color when people hover over it. So we can just make it orange like this. This is just fine. And we can also style this. We remove the styling. So this is getting pretty better. I really like this style. Now also you can apply some background overlay to this image if you want to. So we can just select this section and bring a style. And here we can just select background overlay and solid black, and we can just make it a little darker like this, so your text is more visible. This is completely optional, but it makes our text more visible. You can also use gradients. They're also very cool. So we can have a gradient like this, and you probably want to make it radial and switch the colors like this, and then we can just increase the opacity. Now we want to also darken this white, but it's slightly lighter, and we have this. Also we want to change the location. Now finally, I just want to select this whole column here, our second column, and just give it some background color like this. So I can just grab the color from this element. So here in my intersection and the style, we have this color. I can just copy it, and then we can just use it here as well. So I can just select my column and background and classic, and we can just give it the same solid color like this, and also some border radius and margin. So we can just bring a border and border radius, give it 2 EM border radius, and also we can just give it some margin. And some padding. Like this, and also we want to give some padding to the whole section because it's very thin here. So I can just bring my advanced and padding and EM, and we're only giving it some right and left padding. So maybe 4 or 5 EM right and 5 EM left. Like this. Now these two columns are not aligned, so if I just select my intersection, you can see that we have, now this is just looking better. This is completely optional. This is just fine. I can just update my page. And now if I just bring my website and movies, now let's just bring this School for Good and Evil. And let's just see what we get now. We have the image, we have the title, we have this very fine, very good. I really like this style here, and I think we are ready to move into creating I think we are ready for creating our archive pages. Now it's time to create our archive pages. So we are going to basically close all of these tabs. We do not need them anymore. And we just bring our admin panel and templates and theme builder. Now we are going to create an archive page. So we just click on this plus button. And of course, start from scratch. Now there is a very simple way to display your archive page, and that is using the built-in archive post. So if I just put it here, we can display our archive with this built-in widget. We have this classic, we have cars which are beautiful, and you have various options, but you do not get full control over what you are displaying. So if I just have it, then we can just in the settings and the preview settings select our movies. Now, as you can see, we do not have movies. We have genres, countries, directors, actors, formats, tags, categories, search result, author, date, and recent, but there is no movie type. And I think there is something wrong with the movie type, so we can just fix it quickly. So I'm just going to keep this tab here and copy it and just open my admin panel. And CPT UI and edit post type. So we select our movies. Now there should be something wrong here because Elementor is not displaying our archive page. And the problem is here. So this has archive is false, and that's why Elementor is not displaying this post type. We have to turn it true and then save our post type. So this is a very important step. Otherwise, you do not get it in any page builder. Now, if we refresh our page here, we should basically be able to access our movie type. So if I select preview settings and then change it into movie archive, we now have it. And apply and preview, you can see that it's displaying the list of our movies. Now, you can just play with this option here. Now, there is one thing here, and the reason we are not getting featured images is that we haven't set a featured image for our movies, because I want to take the other path and create our own cars and display our own cars via Elementor loops, which is very powerful. So with Loop Grid, we can display any kind of content that we want. I just want to know that this option is available, so you can play with it. You just select this archive post. Now you can set it as cars or full content, but really we do not need full content. You set it usually to cars, and then there are various options here. And if I just publish it as a demo, and we have to select the movie type, so we select movie archive. Now if I just save and close and visit my website, so if I just, now we should basically be able to access our movies via the new archive, but we haven't any link here, so let's just see what we can do. So now if I just bring my admin panel and CPT UI and our movies, you can see that we has our archive, but there is no URL, no slug. We can just have movies. So when we access movies, it's going to display all of our movies. That's fine. And now I can just save my post type. And now if I just have the slash and movies, it should be the archive page for our movies, and we sure have our movies. So this is very cool, and you can, if you are satisfied with what you get from Elementor, you can just continue this path, but really we cannot control what we are displaying. We have some minimal design control here, but we want to be able to display our movies whatever way we want. So we want to display the name of the movie and maybe the time, the duration, and any information that we want. So we are just going to remove these and create our own version of it. So basically, Elementor has this very cool feature. Actually, it's a recent feature of Elementor, and that's loop grid. So by adding a loop grid, we can specify a template, and then we can just use this template to display the content of an archive page. That's very cool. Before creating the template, I just want to set this query into current query. So it's very important because we want to use this page also for our search results page. We have to use this current query. So I can just select it and update. And now we are ready to create our template. So we just have to save changes. And now here we can create a template. So basically what we are creating is an individual movie. So whether it's your archive page or search results page, we want to be able to display an individual movie here. And this is going to just be that. So we can just, first of all, create the preview so that we can see what we are doing. So I can just bring setting and preview setting, and we want to set it into movie and just select a sample movie. Let's just do John Wick Chapter 4. So we can just select it and click apply and preview. Now, if you ever get this error, it doesn't actually mean there is anything wrong with your theme or your files. It happens to me and also for my client. So we have to just add the loop manually. So let's just go back, leave this site. And here we have our archive page. And here we can have our loop item. So as you can see, I have two loop items before. Let's just create a new one. So we just click on add new. And here we just set the preview setting into movies and John Wick Chapter 4. Apply and preview. Now you can see that we didn't get the error. So I think it's actually going to work this way. This is just a problem within Elementor. So here, as you can see, we have the name, and let's just test it. So I'm just going to publish this loop item and go one level back. So let's just bring the site editor. Now we have this loop item. We haven't named it, so let's just name it. This is the last one we have created. So let's just click edit. So it's correct, and we just want to set the name. So I just click on these three dots and rename, and I just call it movies. Now we have movies, and we should be able to use it within our archive page. So I just click on my archive page and click on edit. And here we can just target our movies template. So we have movies and update. And now if I just set the query into current query, it's fine. And we should basically be able to edit it. So Now the preview is set up and it's working. So again, we should be able to just do it from that page, but we have to just create it manually. I don't know what the problem is. I think there's a bug, but I have no idea where the problem is coming from. But anyway, we have our template, and before just going further and create it, I just want to show you where this template is being used. So if I just bring my website, and first of all, template and theme builder and archive, you can see that I have one archive page. If I click on edit conditions, it's going to be used for my movie archive, but I can also use it for my search results. So here I can just select search result. Now there's a caveat here for selecting your search results, because your search result is going to also display your blog post, and your template is going to be a movie specific template. So for example, you are having the data related to your movies, then if it's a blog post, it's going to be a little different and you might not get a good result here. So we are just going to just use it for movie archive for now, and we then create a new page for our search results which can handle both of the types. But for now, let's just test it. So if I just save and close, and bring my front page, and slash movies, because that's our archive page. You can see that we have the name of the movies, which is coming from that template. So it's working. So we have the name, of course, we do not have the link, but we will just fix it. And if I search something here like John Wick or simply John, it's also going to display only the name because it's using the same template. Now, if you do not have a blog section, this is just fine because all you have are movies, and then you have your movies here and people can just search. But the problem is that we also have blog posts. So if I just search word hello, it should bring my hello world post. And when we create a template for our movie, it's different from what we create. So you have two options here. Either you create two separate templates, one for your search result and one for your movies, and the search results should be able to handle both of the post types, both movies and blog posts, correctly and in a reasonable manner. But there's another way that you have to have a layout, a template for your movies that can also handle blog posts. So for example, you cannot use movie poster because blog posts do not have a poster. So you have to use a featured image which is common in both of them. In this tutorial, we are just going to create two separate layouts, one for the movie archive and one just simply for the search. So let's just start with the movie archive. So I just bring my archive page and click edit. Okay, now we have our movie, or basically a single card for one of our entities in the archive page. Now you can access this editor either via the loop itself in the loop section of templates or theme builder, or you can also access it within your archive page by just clicking on edit template. So we just have the template, and now basically we want to display the information. So first of all, we want to have a featured image, or more correctly, our poster here. So I just want to use it as a background image. This is all design decisions, really. There is no good or bad here. So I just select my section, and it's box, but we want to have a fixed height. So I can just have min height, but it's not going to go more than that. So this is just fine. And we just have it, we can just have it like this. And now we want to apply the movie poster here. So I can just select my whole section and style. And then background and background type, I just select classic. And of course we want to make it dynamic. So I just click on dynamic tags. And then we have these advanced image fields, and the key here is poster. So we have it here. Of course, we are just going to center it. So position center, and size cover like this. This is very good. Now we also want to give this section some rounded corners. So I can just bring border radius and EM and just give it something like 2 or maybe 1.5. Border radius, this is very cool. Now I just want to make this white, so we just can't do it. Now I also want to apply a background overlay here that changes when I hover over the car. So we can just select section and style. We have the normal background, but we just want to apply a background overlay. So we just select background overlay and then gradient. And let's start from black and shift into a lighter black, something like this. And we want to increase the opacity. Like this, maybe we can just make it lighter. Like this, and play with the location. This is just fine, and opacity. So we have something like this, but when I hover over it, we want it to change. So let's just play with it a little more. Like this, but then when I hover over it, we just want to set the background to gradient, but then change the opacity into 0. So we have our movie. This is very cool. Now people can hover and then they can see the poster, but by default, the information is more visible. Now we also want to display some little information here at the bottom, for example, the runtime or the year or the company. And we can just do it by adding an intersection. So I can just add an intersection here. Now we have our intersection and we can just add our information here. So I can just add a heading there. Of course, it's very large, so we just have to make it smaller. So let's just change it into white. And then for the typography, we want to set it into EM, make it much smaller, like this. And also set it to medium, or even normal is just good. And then we can just apply the dynamic tag. So I can just select it. And then of course, advanced custom field. And for the key, we are just going to select runtime. So we get the runtime here. And I can just simply remove this other column. It's a little small, so let's just change it. Now also the tag is set to H2. Of course, it's not correct, so I just change it into span, like this. And let's just make sure everything is set to 0. And we can just make it a little larger. Now this is good. We can just duplicate this whole column here. And then we can just display anything we want. So let's just change the key from runtime into release date. It's really anything you want. We can also have 3 columns here, but it's going to move that to the bottom because there's not enough space. And this is good. We can also have another column here, like this. Now, if this column is breaking, you just have to reset your column structure here. So we have 3 columns like this. And I can just change this one into company. Like this, and we can just give this column more space because it needs more. Like this. Now this is just an example. You can have your custom rating here and just use it. So this is pretty much good. Now the last thing we want to do is to just make it link to the actual movie. So here we do not have any link, but we want to make it clickable. And here I have just installed a plugin. So if I just bring my column and layout, you can see that we have this column link. By default, we do not have column links. So you can make your heading clickable or your images clickable, but not the whole column. But this plugin allows you to do that. And I just put the link in the description. So you can just install it and then instantly you have access to this new column link field. But now that we have it, we can just select dynamic tags. And of course, it's going to be the post URL. And now if I update and visit our website, so let's just bring /movies. You can see that we have the movies, but there is something wrong here. So the information are correct, but the images all are the same. So what's going on here? So after checking lots of parts of my website, making sure that everything is correct and we do not have any problem, I just did a Google search that I wish I had done before, and I found out that this is actually a bug with Elementor. So people have the very same issue. When you use background images in your loop builder and use dynamic tags, it's not going to actually use the dynamic tag, and it's going to just duplicate one of the images. And someone here in this GitHub page says the bug is fixed in this version 3.8.1, but again someone else says that in the very same version they have the very same issue. So at this point that I'm recording this video is not solved. Maybe just after recording it this problem is solved, so you can just use background images. But if you cannot use background images and get the same problem, then we cannot solve it and we have to use image instead of background image. So we just have to change our layout. So let's just quickly change this card to use the image tag instead of this background image. So first of all, we want to get rid of the background image, and it's here in the section. So I just bring the style, and here we have our image, and we have to just remove it. So we do not have background image like this. And then we can just put our image here. So we can just add an image tag here, and then we can just make it point to our advanced custom field image field, and then the key would be poster. So like this. So now this is good and we can just continue on. So I just update it. And also I want to make sure that my column are clickable. So I can just select my whole column, and here in the column link, I just use my dynamic post URL like this and update. So let's just bring it to see what we have. So /movies. So as you can see, there are a few problems here. First of all, these images are not of the same dimensions, which makes this layout very ugly. And second, we do not have enough space for our runtime and date, so it's breaking into a new line, and this is not what we want. So let's just fix it very quickly. So I just have to click on Edit with Elementor and select the archive page, and then Edit Template. So first of all, we want to correct this image. It's very easy. So basically, we just have to select the image and bring the style. And then we want to give it a manual height here. So something like 300 pixel or maybe 250 pixel, something like this. Now, as you can see, it's distorting these images, and it's very easy to fix. So we just have to change this object fit. So we just change it into cover. So we get these nice cover images. That's fine. I can just update. And now if I just refresh my page, let's just copy the URL, paste it here, and bring the movies page. You can see that we have all of our movies, and the images is fine. So let's just change this. So we have this background that is changing when I hover over it. First of all, we want to change that. We no longer need it. And then we also want to have some kind of effect on the images when we hover. And also we want to fix this column. So let's just start. So first of all, I just select my section here and the style. So we have this background overlay, and we basically have to completely remove it. So we do not need it anymore. I can just simply right click here and select reset the style. So we no longer have this style. So this is the first thing. So let's just update it and refresh. Now, of course, we do not have anything here, but we want to have some kind of color here for the cards, and it's easy to just do. So I just select my section and background and classic, and we want to give it just background like this. This is all fine. And also border radius, so rounded corners. Like this. Let's just update and refresh. Now we have this. Now we want to also fix this problem here, and we want to give them more room here. So let's just do it like this. We can also make the font size smaller if you want to, but let's just refresh. And we still have this problem here. So let's just make them smaller. So I just select the style and typography and change it into something like 0.9 EM. So let's just do it for all of them. Now this is better. So we have it like this. And I think we are good to go. So that's like this, it's better. We also want to have some kind of effect for the hover. So let's just select this section and style and just background and hover. And let's just change the background from classic. So we just want to have a lighter background like this. This is all good. So let's just update it. And now we have these effects. So it's just fine. It's just more interactive. And of course we have our movie pages as before. So very nice here. And we are basically done with this archive page. So we can just remove it now. As you can see, we have two jumping here. This is just a bug, I think, because I didn't do anything here wrong, but it's basically showing this template here and then all of my movies, so we get duplicate, because in the setting and preview setting, I have selected John Wick Chapter 4, so it's just displaying it here, but it's also displaying the other movies. So maybe it's not a bug, maybe it's a feature, but basically we have two John Wick here, and that's fine. So we are just good to go. So we have our archive pages. Now I just want to create a link here for all movies, and let's just do it very quickly. So I just bring my appearance and menus, and we have the menu here, and all I have to do is just create a custom link here. And again, it's very easy to do. So just select custom link, and then I paste my URL and /movies. So /movies for the URL, and the link would be the movie archive or movies. Let's just call it movies. And I add it to the menu here. And also I want to change this blog into news. Now we do not want to put much time here, but basically you just want to change it into news. Now the page is called blog. You probably want to change it there as well. And it's also enough to just change it from there. But basically we have home, movies, and news, which is going to display our blog post here or celebrity news or whatever. So it's just fine here. So now, as you can see, we have our movies page displaying all of our movies. Now we have a little problem here. There is not enough room here for this one cool picture, and it's breaking into a new line, making this card become taller than it should be. And this is not what we want to have, but basically we can just make the font smaller or reduce the margin or change the column distribution here. So this is just a minor problem, and we can just click on these movies. We have the poster, we have the video, we have this information column, and more importantly, we can just click on these items here. So for example, if I just click on action, it's going to display all of the action movies here. If I just click on the country, it's going to display all movies from Hong Kong. So it's very fine. And if I click on a director, it's going to display all the movies from this director. The only problem is that it's just using this very basic template here, and we do not want this. We want to use the very same template here. So we want to use the template we are just using for these movies. Now this is optional. You might just want the default template. This is coming from your theme basically, or you just want to create a separate template for these archive pages, but we are just going to change them into this movie template that we just created. So I just bring my admin panel and templates and theme builder. Now we have this archive page. So this is the page that is loading all of our movies. I just have to click on edit conditions, and now it's being used for my movie archive. We just want to add more conditions here. So just click on add condition, and we just want to use it for genres and also countries and directors and actors. So like this, we want to use this for all of these taxonomy. And now if I just save and close and bring my website here, so let's just bring the front page and movies and click on one of these movies, and for example the genre horror. As you can see now, it's using my movie template. So this is awesome. This is looking consistent on every pages. Again, if I just select a star here, you can see that we have the same template, and it's just working. So this is very good. Now, basically we have our movies page and information for each movie, and they are clickable. One final page that I want to create is just a page for our genres, because we just want to have a page here called genres, and people can just click on them and they can just visit all movies from particular genre. So let's just create it with Elementor. I just bring my pages and add new, and we're just going to call it genres, like this. Publish it and click on edit with Elementor. Now, I honestly do not know any way to display these custom taxonomies as an archive page. So they do not have an archive page, and I really do not know any way without coding to display them. So we're just going to create a custom page, a custom handmade page for all of these movie genres, and it's just very easy to create. So I'm just going to create a free column layout here, and each layout here is going to be a box for one of our genres. So we can just target these, and we can just have the heading here, and we can just give it some padding to make it bigger, and then we can just apply a gradient. So let's just make it bigger, make the whole column have more padding, like this, and we can just give it a minimum height. So let's just bring and I can just give it more padding for the top and bottom. So let's just unlink these values and give it more padding for the top and also for the bottom, maybe 6 for both of them, like this. And now I can just give it a background color. So let's just bring background type, and let's just use gradient here. Like this. Then I can just change my text center. Let's just left alignment, just good. We can just change the style, make it white like this, and I want to give it some rounded corners. So I select my column here, and border radius EM, or maybe 1.5. So this is good. We have the genre, and now I can just basically put the genre name here. So let's just bring my WP admin page and my movies and genres. Now we have all of our genres here, and I can just grab the name and just put it here like this. Now it's and now I can just simply grab the name, and I can just simply copy the name and just put it for the content here like this, and probably make it larger. So this is nice. I can also center align this. So we have it. We also want to make it point to the actual page, so I can just click on view. This is the page for this genre. I can just copy the URL and paste it for the column link here. So I just paste it here, and now we have it. And finally, we can just give it a hover effect here. So I can just bring style and background overlay and hover. Then we can just give it a solid white color. So let's just select white, and then we can just play with the opacity. So it's very high. So something like this to give us a subtle hover effect. You can also use gradient, and this is looking cool to me. So this is just fine. Now we have it, and it has the link, and we can just basically remove other columns and just duplicate this one. So we can just duplicate it 2 times here, and also we want to have some margin. So let's just apply it. So we want to have some margin in EM like this, and we want to do this for the other ones as well, or we can just simply delete them and duplicate this. So we have it, and now we basically cannot put the movies here. I'm just going to do it very quickly. So I'm just going to put all these movie genres and give them some background overlay, but you can just use images, which is even better. So now basically have these cars, and I tried to do my best to match these gradients with the subject, but it's not very good. So if I just bring my front end here, now of course we haven't added the page to our menu, so let's just do it very quickly. If I just bring appearance and menus, we can just add these genres to our page. You can just put it here. And now if I save, we have these genres. I can just click on it. We have our genres. And if I just, for example, bring crime, we have John Wick, of course. And this is just looking all good. So we have it. And also for the search bar, if I just search for John, for example, you can see that we have this basic search. This is because we haven't created a template yet for our search page. So this is using the default search page, but we can just do it very quickly. So I can just bring templates and theme builder and search result. Now we also can use the same template that we use for our movies for the search page, but the problem is that we are using the poster image, which our blog posts do not have. Also, we are using the metadata that our blog posts do not have. So when you create a search page, it's going to be used for both your movies and your blog post. Now, if you're not having a blog or news, then it's just fine. You only have movies, but in this case, we also have blog content. So I'm just going to create a new one here very quickly. So we are not just going to use the loop builder, it takes lots of time. Instead, we are just going to use this archive post here, and we can just play with the format. So I'm just going to change it into cards. And also we are going to remove date and comments like this. And this is just fine. And if I just publish it, it asks me where I'm going to display it. Of course, we are going to use it for our search result. I can just save and close. And now if I just bring my front page and search for something, we have this. So this is just much better, but you can just put time and create something very distinctive and beautiful. So we are just done with the search part and genres part. The last thing we are going to do to wrap this tutorial is to just create our front page, because this is just empty right now. We want to have a search bar, a big search bar here, display some of our latest movies here, and we're just going to make it pop. So we are just going to do that in our next and last section. So in this final section, we are going to create our front page. So let's get started. I'm just going to remove these tabs and bring the front end and click on edit with Elementor. Of course, we are not going to edit the header or footer or site setting or theme builder because we haven't yet created the page using Elementor. We have to just click on edit page and edit with Elementor. But then when you create it, then you can just simply have it in the menu. So I just click on edit with Elementor. And first of all, we want to create a section and place a big search bar here because searching is really important. We have it here, but we just want to have it here as well. So I'm just going to create a new section here, and we are going to add our search bar. So we have our search form here like this. We can change the style from classic into minimal if you wish, or we can also have full screen, which creates this modal. This is also good, but we are just going to stick to this classic here. So this is just fine. Now we also want to reduce the width. It's a lot here. So I can just simply select my section and it's set to box, so that's okay. We want it to be box. We don't want it to be full width like this, but then we can just control the width and I can just change it to something like this. I think this is now better. Let's just make it 700 pixel like this. And now we can just give it some padding. So I can just select my column and then style and then advanced. And for the padding, we just want to give it some padding like this. Now we can just give it top and bottom padding. That's enough. So I can just unchain them. We can also use margin if you wish, but padding are just okay. So I can just give it some top and bottom padding like this. And we also want to have a background image, so I can just select my section here and style, and we just want to add some gradient here. Now I just want to use this color and I have it there. So I can just grab it. So now I can just paste it here. So this is the color. Now we just want to make a gradient out of it. So let's just make this one darker like this, and this is just cool. So we have a gradient here and our search box, and for the placeholder we can just use anything we want, but just search is just okay. You can just change it to anything you want. So this is just okay. And then we just want to display some of our popular movies. We also want to make this a little larger. So I can just select my section and layout, and we can just give it a min height. So I can just select height and give it a minimum height. So here if we have the div, of course I don't want to change the div, but we just want to change the minimum height. So we can just use VH, and then we are sure that we always have this height, and this is just better, so we have it like this. And now we want to display some of our movies, and this is the typical thing that you do on your front page. So you want to display your latest movies, your hottest movies, and extra. So we can just simply use this loop grid. So I can just place it here. Now we want to place it in a new section here, and now we have it. We can just specify the query and the template. Now for the template, we do have a template, so that's very cool. I think we name it movies. So we have this movies template, and then we can just change the query into anything that we want. We can have a manual query, so I can just select manual selection, and then you can just select the movies manually. But we can also display all of our movies, which we do not want to do here. And we can also select all, but then change the date. So we can just have the all past month. So we can just have the title here for this month. So this is based on the date you have selected. So this is based on the date you have added these movies to your website. And now I can just type here past month like this. And we also want to make it white, and maybe center align it and give it some padding or margin. Let's just give it some margin here in EM like this. So this is just cool. We have the movies from the past month. In this case, it's all of our movies. And then you can also have a manual selection. So maybe we can just duplicate this whole section here, and you can just type handpicked. Like this, and of course we can handpick the movies. So here in the query we are just going to select manual selection, and then we can just handpick our favorite movies, which of course would be only John Wick 4. So this is the only movie that is worth handpicking, and this is just fine. So we have it, and now basically we can just update our page and visit it in the front end. So we have our page, we have our search bar, it just works. Now we have this white color here, which we can just quickly change. So if I just click on edit page and edit with Elementor, we can just simply change the styling. So as you can see, we can just change it into black, and this is, I think, is going to solve the problem. So if I just update it and bring my front page, sure enough, we have it, and we can just simply search. It's going to display the result, and this is pretty cool. Now, also we want to give it some padding here, and it's very easy to do. So I just bring my search section here and select my whole section and give it some padding. So let's just bring advanced and padding, EM, and we can just give it some padding like this, and then we are good to go. So let's just bring it again. So now we have our front page and movies and genres and news. Now we didn't do anything for the news. As you can see, this is a default layout, but you can just simply change it. So we can just bring our template and theme builder and archive. Now we do have an archive for our movie page. We can just simply add a new one here, and we can just use this archive post and just change it into cards or anything that you wish is correct. And we can just also give it some padding here in EM like this. We publish, and we simply change the condition. So not all archives, because it's going to override our movie archive, but rather post archive. So I can just save and close. And now if I just bring my front page and news, we have this archive, but our movies is using its own beautiful archive page. And this is basically our movie website. You can make it much more beautiful. You can add more features to it. We really didn't do anything special here. You can have a login or registration section here. We didn't create it, but you can have it. You can have a membership website and have a social page, social part for your website. And you can just improve many things here. But basically, you can see that it's very easy to create something like this using WordPress, Elementor, and custom post types and custom fields. And that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching. If you like this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to our channel for more WordPress content. And like always, you can reach our team from the link in the description.